Hello and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to create a realistic fountain simulation in Blender using fluid physics from setup to final render. First things first, let's generate the fountain model we'll use for this simulation. I'll use Tripo AI to turn this reference image into a detailed 3D model. In just a moment, the model is ready to preview and export for Blender. Once the model is ready, export it as a GLB file. That saves a lot of time so we can focus on the simulation. If you don't have a Tripo account yet, you can sign up quickly. The free plan has some limits, and to unlock the full experience, you can upgrade to a paid plan. Use the discount code in the description to get an extra 60% off the monthly plan. Now let's bring the fountain model into Blender. Go to the File menu, choose Import, then select GLTF and load the GLB model into Blender. Press Tab to enter edit mode. As you can see, the model is highly detailed, which can slow down the simulation and workflow. Before reducing the polygon count, let's clean the mesh, since AI-generated models often contain non-manifold areas or overlapping vertices. Press A to select everything, then press M and choose Merge by Distance. This removes duplicate vertices and gives us a cleaner mesh. Next, I'll use Blender's built-in 3D print add-on to check the model. From the cleanup panel, use Make Manifold to help make the mesh watertight and better prepared for the simulation. Now let's add a Decimate modifier to reduce the polygon count and improve performance. Lowering the ratio value to half brings it down to a much more manageable level. To fix the shading issues caused by Decimate, add a Weighted Normal modifier. Once that's done, apply the Decimate modifier first, then apply the Weighted Normal modifier. Now we can start the fluid simulation. Press Shift-A and add a cube. Then press Z and switch to wireframe view. Press S to scale the cube so it fully surrounds the fountain while staying as tight as possible. Keeping the domain tight helps improve simulation detail and performance. With the cube selected, go to the Physics Properties tab and add a fluid modifier. Set the fluid type to domain and set the domain type to liquid. Before moving on with the domain settings, let's add a flow object to generate liquid inside the domain. Add a cylinder, scale it down, and place it just above the fountain outlet. Leave a small gap between them, making sure it doesn't touch the fountain. Now add a fluid modifier to the cylinder. Set the fluid type to flow, the flow type to liquid, and the flow behavior to inflow so it continuously generates liquid. As you can see, no liquid particles are being generated, and when we press play, the flow object doesn't produce any liquid. That's because the flow object is too small for the current domain resolution to detect properly. Now let's select the domain and adjust the settings. First, I'll set the resolution divisions value to 128. As soon as we do that, the flow object starts generating liquid particles and the simulation begins to work. To make the liquid collide with the fountain, select the fountain and add a fluid modifier. Set the fluid type to effector and the effector type to collision. Then set the surface thickness to 0.01 to help prevent the liquid from passing through the surface. Now let's select the domain again and continue with the settings. For the final result, I'll increase the resolution divisions to 192. This controls the overall simulation detail, so higher values give cleaner motion, better splashes, and more accurate liquid behavior. Keep in mind that higher resolutions also increase bake time and use more system resources. You can raise this value depending on the power of your computer. I'll also share my PC specs in the video description for reference. Now scroll down to the cache section and set the cache type to modular. This lets us bake the simulation step by step, giving us more control over the workflow. Also enable the resumable option. Timescale value controls the overall speed of the simulation. In this scene, once the lower bowl is full and the water starts falling into the pool, the flow gains too much momentum and looks less natural. To fix that, I'll animate the timescale value with keyframes for a more balanced result. Now go to frame 55, where the upper bowl is fully filled, and click the small dot next to the timescale value to add a keyframe. Then move to frame 60, lower the timescale to 0.75 and add another keyframe. Next, go to frame 110, where the lower bowl is full, and add a keyframe there as well. Then move to frame 115, lower the timescale to 0.65 and add one more keyframe. This way, we can control the flow speed and keep the simulation looking more natural. Now, in the liquid panel, set the flip ratio to 0.9. This helps reduce excessive splashing and gives the liquid a more balanced motion. The particle radius in the liquid panel helps control liquid volume during the simulation. Higher values can reduce volume loss, while lower values can prevent the liquid from gaining too much volume. I'll animate this value with keyframes to keep the flow looking natural and thinner. Set the particle radius value to 0.95. Now go to frame 120 and add a keyframe to the particle radius value. Then move to frame 125, lower the particle radius to 0.8 and insert another keyframe. Now open the mesh panel. This section converts the liquid particles into a visible water mesh for the final result. The particle radius value controls the thickness of that mesh. I'll lower it to 1.8 to make the water look thinner and more natural. We've finished the main domain settings. As a final step, we'll add an outflow object to keep the pool from overflowing. An outflow removes any liquid that touches it. Add a cylinder and scale it down. In edit mode, select the top and bottom faces, use inset, then choose bridge edge loops from the edge menu to create a center hole. Place it slightly above the pool floor, since any liquid touching the object will disappear. Now add a fluid modifier to this object as well. Set the fluid type to flow, the flow type to liquid, and the flow behavior to outflow. Now we're ready to bake the simulation. Select the domain and go to the cache section. You can set the simulation end frame. I set it to 250, then scroll up and click the Bake Data button to start. Baking is the process of calculating and storing the simulation so it can play back properly. This may take some time, since the resolution division's value is set to a high level like 192. The baking speed also depends on your computer hardware. Once the baking is finished, play the simulation. As you can see, the overall behavior looks good. There are no sudden explosions or overly energetic splashes, and the simulation appears stable overall. Now it's time to bake the liquid mesh, so we can see how the water surface will look in the simulation. Now go to the mesh panel and click Bake Mesh to begin. This usually takes less time than baking the fluid data because it uses the cached simulation and only generates the visible water surface. Once the baking is finished, play the simulation. To see the liquid mesh more clearly, press Z and switch to solid view, then disable the liquid particles. Now, when we play the simulation, we can clearly see the water mesh and its flow behavior. Select the liquid mesh, right-click, and choose Shade Smooth. To make the simulation more realistic, let's add spray particles to the liquid. Open the Particles panel and enable Spray Particles. These particles create the small droplets that break away from the main water flow. Then click the Bake Particles button to generate the spray particles. Once the baking is done, play the simulation and you'll see the spray particles being generated. Now go to the Particle Properties tab and select the spray particles. Open the Render panel and set Render as to Object. We'll need an object to use as the particle instance, so add an icosphere to the scene and lower its subdivision value to 1. Then select the liquid mesh and use the eyedropper to choose the icosphere as the instance object. Lower the scale value, then set random scale to 1 to add some variation. Finally, open the Viewport Display panel and reduce the particle amount to half. Now it's time to render. Press Z and switch to rendered view. Go to the Render Properties tab. To keep the viewport responsive, I'll set the maximum samples value to 32 and enable the denoise option. For the final render, I'll use 96 samples. Keep in mind that higher sample values improve render quality but also increase render time. To light the scene, I'll use an environment texture. Go to the World Properties tab and load an HDRI image. Then set the strength value to 1.5. Now return to the Render Properties tab and in the Film panel enable Transparent so the background renders with alpha. Now select the liquid mesh and let's add a water shader. Change the timeline editor to the shader editor. Then click New to create a material. Delete the principled shader and replace it with a glass shader. Set the IOR value to 1.333, which is the correct refraction value for water. Alright, now let's add a shader to the spray particles. Select the icosphere and create a new material. Add a transparent shader, then mix it with the principled shader using a mix shader. Connect a noise texture to the factor input of the mix shader and place a color ramp to control the transparent and opaque areas. Now, to hide the flow and outflow objects in both the viewport and final render, go to the outliner and disable the eye and camera icons for those objects. Add a camera to the scene. Press Alt-R to clear the camera rotation. Next, add a curve object and use a follow path constraint and track to constraint to create a smooth camera animation. Go to the Output Properties tab. I'll increase the resolution scale to 150% for better render quality. Keep in mind that this also increases render time. Set the frame rate to 30 frames per second. Then, in the Output panel, choose a save location. Set the file format to MPEG-4 and the output type to video. Once everything is ready, go to the Render menu and choose Render Animation. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something useful along the way. If you'd like to see more Blender tutorials on modeling, animation, and simulations, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.